Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I want to congratulate and thank the honourable member for Mitcham and Morden for bringing this debate forward. This week we celebrate the Living Wage Week, raising awareness of the vital need for all who go out to work to earn enough to meet the cost of living, and to applaud those employers who have signed up to this scheme, committing to pay their staff the living wage. Of course, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm talking about the real living wage of £8.45 per hour, which has just come into effect. It is not the same as the UK Government's pretendy national living wage, set at £7.20 for people over 25. The national living wage relates to average earnings, not living costs. Therefore, it should not be called the living wage. And it is disingenuous to call it so. By contrast, the living wage is calculated according to the basic cost of living and takes account of the adequacy of household incomes for achieving what everybody should aspire to have, an acceptable minimum standard of living. And it cannot be too much to ask employers to pay their staff literally enough to live upon. I will indeed.
You've had a good go. The Minister had, what I'm bothered about, I just want to explain, the Minister had probably 18 minutes. We've got the front benches that's going to be down to 6 or 7 minutes. I don't think it's fair. It's up to Patricia Gibson whether she wishes to give way or not.
I will proceed, Mr Deputy Speaker, on the basis of what you've just said, so that others can get in. In the light of all that I've said, how can we not conclude that the UK Government's so-called national living wage is not a living wage at all? By contrast, the SNP Government has long championed the payment of the living wage and the real benefits to our economy of treating working people much more fairly. Paying the living wage, the real living wage and not the pretendy one, makes economic sense for employers. It increases productivity, it reduces staff absence and it reduces staff turnover. All the research done on this area bears that out. 80% of employers felt that their staff delivered better quality work after paying the living wage. 75% of employees agreed that their work improved after receiving it. And we know that low pay is a driver of in-work poverty. So with around 20% of Scotland's workforce still earning less than the living wage, there is still much more work to do. But the UK Government's so-called national living wage also creates problems because it discriminates against people under 25 years old. People at age 24 don't have a cheaper way of living than people at 25, so the distinction is false and spurious. The real living wage pays all workers over 18 years old the same pay, and I am proud that Scotland has the highest proportion of employees paid the living wage, some 79.9% in fact. The fact is, Mr Deputy Speaker, a job should help you out of poverty. It should not keep you there. And it's really important that we understand that a real living wage makes a real difference to the lives of working people. It is important, and it ought not to be controversial, that workers earn a wage upon which they can live. And I wish the UK Government would take a leaf out of the Scottish Government's book, who has long championed the living wage, understanding that it is important that, and it's a matter of social justice, that people earn a living and a minimum standard of living and not a wee pretendy national living wage, as the Government tries to tell us.